welcome back to my channel. I'm the Lit Wizard. I like literature. I think it's lit, and I'm a wizard. And today I want to cover 5 more of my 5-star reads. Brief disclaimer that these are my personal 5-star reads in books that hit for me. They may not necessarily hit for you, and if they don't, I want to know which book you would remove and which book you would add in its place. Let me know in the comments below, and let's take a look at the first book. Wayward Pines by Blake Crouch. Now, you may know Blake Crouch from Dark Matter, Recursion, Upgrade. Wayward Pines was the first trilogy that he released and follows the story of a secret agent who has an accident, wakes up in a small town, and everything is wrong. Nothing is as it seems. There's some sort of mystery. The town is weird. There's strange things going on, and he has to figure it out. Why is this a 5-star book? It's the perfect blend of thriller and speculative fiction. It's non-stop from the second you pick the book up to the second you put it down, just like you would come to expect after reading his other books. There's this constant sense of mystery, dread, and suspense that just makes it unput-downable. Not to mention twist after twist that never miss. If you've read his works before, you have to read Wayward Pines. And if you haven't read Blake Crouch before, Wayward Pines is an excellent place to start and is actually where I started myself. Wayward Pines was also made into a TV series, I believe. I haven't watched it, but I've heard good things. So you always have that to look forward to after you finish the books as well. The next book that I have on my list is Chain Gang All-Stars. Now, Chain Gang All-Stars, if you're not familiar with it or haven't heard about it before, takes place in a near-future version of the United States where incarcerated people, prisoners, are forced to fight to the death in order to earn their freedom. If they win a certain number of fights without dying, then they can get released. And the entire thing is televised as a reality TV show. Not only are these people fighting for their freedom, in the process, they're also gaining fans and support and followers, which adds a really interesting, unique dynamic to the book and to the genre. It's all at the same time brutal, brilliant, and painfully relevant with its social commentary. It's a book that I picked up at the airport while I was on a work trip. I read it during that trip, and it's a book that I've never stopped thinking about since. And if you've been here before, that is a recurring theme with books that end up on my 5-star list. Books that really hit me in a unique way and that I can't get out of my head or change the way that I think about a certain thing or think about a certain genre of books. You learn a little bit about each of the characters that you're following, each of the prisoners that you're following, the people that are running the show. And despite their situation and their circumstances, you really come to love each individual character and you find yourself rooting for them. The story also has a very inventive structure, and I'm not going to spoil what that is. But if you love this kind of book, if you love something with an important message, social commentary, but you also love things like The Hunger Games or Red Rising, this is a book that you should absolutely read and will also learn something from. The next book on my list is a book I know lots of people love, and that's A Man Called Ove, or Ova. I'm not 100% sure what the pronunciation is, by Fredrick Backman. Fredrick Backman is one of my favorite authors. I haven't read many of his newer books. I need to get caught up. But A Man Called Ove, Beartown are some of my favorite books. If you're not familiar with this particular Fredrick Backman book, you're essentially following an older gentleman. It's literary fiction. He's struggling. He's going through some things. He's lonely. He gets some new, loud, annoying neighbors that he has to learn to adjust to. And you kind of follow his past, how he became the way that he is now, and what his future may or may not look like. It's touching, it's heart-wrenching, it's a lot of things. It's an emotional read for sure, but it's another one of those reads that sticks with you for a really long time. There was a movie made from this as well shortly after it came out in Swedish, if you're cool with watching a movie with subtitles. There is also a movie that was made, kind of an Americanized version of the story, starring Tom Hanks, called A Man Called Otto. If you've seen that, this is the book that it's based off of. I haven't seen A Man Called Otto, but I have seen A Man Called Ove and think it's absolutely worth watching after reading the book. Overall, 5 stars, emotional, funny, feels like a warm hug, a book that I can absolutely see myself revisiting later. The 4th book on my list really got me back into fantasy, into reading fantasy series, and that book is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I love this series. This is a series that follows a main character named Kel, who can travel between parallel versions of London. Each London is color-coded. He smuggles something through to another London that he shouldn't have, and that's kind of where the story kicks off and takes place. My absolutely favorite character in this trilogy is Lila Bard. You get to know her over the course of all 3 books, and the way that the trilogy ends and wraps up, and her story, as well as Kel's story, could not in my mind have been more perfect. When I got to the end of this trilogy, I found myself reading the book and pacing around my bedroom, not wanting the book to end, but also not being able to put the book down. Sharp characters, a great mix of magic, adventure, mystery, and danger. The whole trilogy to me felt cinematic, like I could watch it play out in my head. I was so excited years later when I found out V.E. Schwab was doing a second trilogy. I have picked up the next book, which I think is called Threads of Power. It's on my shelf behind me here. I haven't gotten to it yet, but it is definitely on my 2025 TBR. Part of me is really excited to get into it and learn more about this world that V.E. Schwab has built and this universe that she's built. Part of me is also afraid to ruffle it a little bit if it doesn't live up to the hype of the original 3 books, but we'll see, and I'm excited to find out. We're coming up on my 5th 5-star read for this video. If you've made it this far into the video and you're enjoying my content, please make sure to like and subscribe. 90% of my viewers are not yet subscribed, which is fair because we're still a brand new channel, but we've got a really awesome community going here already, which I'm thrilled about, and I would love for you to be a part of it. So go ahead, click that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and leave me a comment in the comments below, and I promise that I will respond to it. My 5th and final book for today's video is Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. This book is awesome. I loved this, and I'm so mad at myself for not having read it sooner. I've always loved the Jurassic Park movies. They get a little bit worse as they go on, and the new ones aren't quite what the originals were, but that first Jurassic Park movie is a classic, and this book is unmatched. If you're somehow not familiar with the story of Jurassic Park and you've been living under a rock, you've got scientists, they clone dinosaurs, they make a theme park full of dinosaurs, people go into that theme park. What could possibly go wrong? The answer is everything. The book is so much darker than the movies are. There's so much more violence. There are some really cool parts in the book that I won't spoil if you haven't read it already that don't make it into the movie. It's fast-paced, scientific-y, unput-downable. I picked this book up, I read it in a day. It's not that long, super easy read, super fun read. Could not possibly recommend reading this book more. I haven't read the second book yet or continued the series, but that is also on my list for probably the second half or last quarter of 2025. I think this will be maybe one of my good October reads. And I will say also, even decades later reading this book, it still felt like it could have been written yesterday. Still felt very current. The writing style and the prose are super easy and fun. Pick this book up. You will not be disappointed. So that's my list. Wayward Pines, Chain Gang All-Stars, A Man Called Ove, A Darker Shade of Magic, and Jurassic Park. Read them if you haven't read them already. Let me know in the comments what your 5-star reads are. If you haven't already, go check out part 1 of my 5-star reads, which I will link here. I have plenty of 5-star reads to talk about, so I will absolutely make a part 3 if you'd like to see that. Let me know. As always, like, subscribe, turn on notifications, hug your dogs. Reading is a treat, and so am I. Goodbye.